Yo, what's up, guys? We are Chopped Anime, three of the almighty Chopped Anime. We are here with a review of Jujutsu Kaisen episode 9. Before you go anywhere, hit the subscribe button, like, comment if you're enjoying our journey through these episodes. So basically, the beginning of the episode opens up at the theater where we're introduced to Yoshino and his three classmates that are killed in the movie theater. We find out they all go to the same high school. And the relationship they have between each other is they bullied Yoshino. They accused this man of the girl accused this man of oogling at her breast and getting the guys to bully and defend her by beating up Yoshino. Of course, Yoshino is an honorable young man. He had no business looking at those breasts, and he didn't look at the breasts. This didn't happen. It was all alleged accusations.
So Yoshino doesn't seem like he's all that bad. He doesn't have that much hatred inside of him, because he had this one quote that he said that if he had a button that he could push to kill everyone he hated, he would not push it. But if he had a button to kill everyone that hated him, he wouldn't hesitate to push it. So I thought that was a pretty interesting distinction there. So I feel like Yoshino definitely has some redemption qualities there, and he's not all that evil.
So what I found very interesting about this episode is we got an understanding of Mohito's power, what kind of curse he was. Mohito responds, "I'm a human curse that was born out of the hatred and fear of people towards other human beings." That made more sense to me because in the movie theater, you see that Yoshino had a great hatred for those who bullied him. And it kept flashing back to just how bad he got bullied, just how bad they picked on him. And I was thinking that because of that hatred that manifested in him so much towards those three guys, Mohito manifested himself in the movie theater. Now, the thing that was interesting to me was, is in this episode is up for interpretation whether Mohito planned on coming there anyway, or he manifested himself due to that kid's hatred. And in the midst of him being there, he left breadcrumbs for him to be followed afterwards. What do you guys think?
So that's a good question, whether Mohito showed up because of Yoshino's hatred or not, or he was just naturally going to be there. So it seems like Mohito, we find out later on in the episode that Mohito likes to leave a lot of breadcrumbs and trails for people to follow. So it's very likely that Yoshino was also followed by Mohito as well. So I actually like that theory a lot, that Yoshino was actually led there by Mohito. He was actually set up.
Yeah, I think that theory is pretty interesting, because why would like this, crazy curse spirit show up in this random movie theater where it didn't look like the showing was doing too well. You had those three high schoolers that were bullying Yoshino and Yoshino himself. So I could definitely see, because of Yoshino's hatreds, towards those guys, not only because like they bullied him, right? But when he was trying to just peacefully watch his movie, thinking nobody was going to be there, they were kind of interrupting. They were doing what every moviegoer hates, talking out loud, their phones ringing. So you could definitely probably see the buildup of anger and hatred towards those guys from Yoshino. So I could see Mohito feeling that and it actually working out towards his plan. He was trying to do something, and it just happened that, hey, here's the catalyst that kicked it off.
I would say that if we try to be more analytical at the characters that we're dealing with here, the Mohito and his team, they seem more calculated rather than sporadic. They don't seem to just kill people for just any old reason all the time because they could. They're sentient, conscious curses. They could go around killing people all day if they want to, but they seem to pick and choose more with the intention they want to bring towards. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to stick with the idea basically that it was due to Yoshino's hatred, and Mohito took advantage of the opportunity.
After the theater scene was summed up and we were provided more details, we get a new character introduction in which we meet our new Jujutsu sorcerer, Nanami Kento. He seems like he's a friend of Gojo. They show interaction between Yuji and Gojo, how Gojo's letting them know, hey, I can't be there to train you this time, but here's a guy who I trust. They bring up Nanami. From pretty much the introduction of Nanami, the vibes I got from him was, you know, he was somebody that always acted on fact.
So from the ending on last episode, we saw that this is 1 month into the future, I believe. And so the actual tournament, the school tournament, is about a month and a half away from when Yuji died. So now Yuji's been training for about a month and he has half a month left. So when we go into the scene where Nanami and Yuji follow the tracks outside onto the rooftop and see the cursed spirits and they start fighting, we get to see some of Yuji's training. He starts to actually use his cursed energy, put it into his fists, and we see exactly how strong he ends up being and some of his techniques. So I think it's called Divergent Fist, was what Gojo Sensei named it.
Yeah, you know, it was interesting seeing Gojo Sensei during this training part, because I almost didn't recognize him, because, you know, he didn't have his headband on with his eyes covered. He had some sunglasses and he had his white hair out. And in that flashback, also something interesting was brought up by Yuji. Yuji mentioned how all the sorcerers pretty much had things covering their eyes. And we saw this with Nanami also. So I'm wondering what does eyes and, you know, being a strong Jujutsu sorcerer, you know, have in common? Because it seems like some of the strong guys are really just have their eyes covered.
The principal also wears sunglasses too. So that's another person that you can add to that list. Gojo Sensei was actually looking pretty fly with the shades and the hair down. So the first thing that came to my mind is that this man is basically like the adult Killua that we never got from Hunter x Hunter. He's basically has the same hairstyle. The personality, I feel like, would definitely be Killua's personality if he were grown up. And he's mad strong. And his abilities are essentially OP. As a kid, if Killua was able to use the lightning speed or whatever, God speed, then Infinity, traveling at that speed, would definitely be adult Killua's ability. So this is basically the adult Killua that we never got.
I can see it.
I can see it, but I think I'm going to need more evidence. I could definitely see the comparison, but, you know, I'd definitely like to get more of a concrete where I could be like, okay, I could totally see this being an adult Killua.
So Nanami and Yuji are both fighting these two cursed spirits. So we actually get to see Nanami's abilities too. So Nanami's cursed technique is he finds, like, I guess, like the perfect ratio, 3 to 7 or something like that, and he's able to forcibly create a weak point in his enemy. So he was mentioning in his weaker enemies, if he hits that weak point, he could basically cut him in half. And it also gives him an advantage in the stronger ones, because if you forcibly create a weak point in a strong enemy, that definitely gives you an advantage. So this kind of seems like a slightly broken ability, but I'm sure there's a lot more to it. It's not as easy as, you're not easily going to be able to just hit their weak points continuously. There's going to have to be a lot more skill there. This type of ability, and I know I mentioned this before, it reminds me a lot of Nen, because people back in Hunter x Hunter, a lot of people had different unique Nen abilities that may seem broken, but it just depends on how they use them. And this ability, finding the weak point in an enemy, reminds me a lot of a Nen ability.
Yeah, I'd be curious to learn about this power more.
I like also how a typical anime trope is pretty much describing your power to your enemy or ability before you actually go through with it, your attack. And that's exactly what Nanami did. Nanami explained his technique before he was actually using it, and Yuji called him out on it. Do you really want your opponent to know? And they kind of got rid of that anime trope by saying that it actually enforces your technique even more if your opponent has a better understanding of it and you let them know. That's pretty interesting. I wonder how that's actually going to play out in the future, because I know Gojo explained his technique.
Yeah, so it seems like, you know, in the next episode or so, we're gonna have a lot of action from Yuji and Kento. They just show, you know, Nanami assigning a new task to Yuji and the assistant, where they pretty much want to figure out what's up with Yoshino, because, you know, he was the only survivor of that movie theater incident. So Nanami dispatches, you know, Yuji to go pretty much take care of doing reconnaissance on Yoshino. And then we pretty much get a transition scene to which I thought was one of the important scenes in Jujutsu Kaisen so far, Mahito and Yoshino being in their little gutter. In this, we get a lot of explanation of what cursed spirits are. One thing interesting that Mahito brings up is how, you know, there's been a shared fear of earths, ocean, and forests by people. And during this moment, there's a there's an image up. The images of the cursed spirits that we've been seeing so far, the overpower and the strong ones, like Jogo and two of his friends. And it seems like Earth matches Jogo because, you know, he's lava-based cursed spirit. And then we have the squid-looking cursed spirit. I'm not sure his name yet. He seems like he represents the ocean. The cursed spirit who actually saved Jogo, it seems like he represents the forest because he came in with some sort of flower thing. Like he was able to grow plants and whatnot out of the ground. It seems like those curses have been around for a while, and Mahito brings up that, you know, they have just taken shape now, but they've been gaining wisdom for pretty much all of humanity. So what'd you guys think of that?
I think the conversation between Mahito and Yoshino was very important for you to understand why certain spirits are stronger than the other certain spirits, because, and it also gave insight to why the Jujutsu sorcerers have been missing and being surprised every time these type of spirits show up. Because Mahito basically says that Jujutsu sorcerers only think about the common fears of humans that are like cartoonish in material, like Ghost Under the Bed, scary movies, things like that. Mahito was trying to say that more fear and hatred is put in just to the atmosphere, period. So like the earth, natural disasters, rain, these type of things. And these things are so massive that's why those are the stronger, more sentient cursed spirits. So for example, you got Jogo, volcano type of thing. That's a fear or whatever. These guys can speak perfectly fine English, super strong. That's what makes me scared for the fight that's going to come in the next scene for Nanami fighting Mahito. There is so much hatred in the world for humans and fear against each other that this guy gotta be super duper strong. He has to be really, really strong since he is a cursed spirit manifested by the hatred and fear of humans between humans. I think this guy is probably really OP. Like that, Nanami's gonna get whacked. That I can just see that coming. I just see that coming off the bat. Ain't gonna be no weak point. No, that is not gonna work in this fight. He's getting waxed. I see it coming.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think Mahito is going to lose. I think it's going to be Nanami's going to realize how strong Mahito is, and then he's going to have to retreat or something like that.
Yeah, no, I'm super stoked again for another fight in Jujutsu Kaisen. You know, they definitely delivered with the last Gojo and Jogo fight. So I'm really excited to see this new character, Nanami. Seems like he's kind of strong. You know, not quite Gojo strong, but strong enough where Gojo thinks he can handle himself. And our boy Mahito seems like he's a pretty strong cursed spirit, so ready to see this in action. And like the guy said, I think our boy Mahito is probably gonna whack Nanami, and he's either gonna have to retreat or, you know, who knows, maybe Nanami dies next episode.
So that's episode 9, Jujutsu Kaisen Chopped Anime. Please like, comment, and subscribe and leave feedback.